So, anybody have any guesses? When factors of numbers are repeated, the blank blank can be rewritten. What do you think will go there? Anybody have a guess? How about we do prime factorization? So when factors of a number are repeated, the prime factorization, excuse my N, it's running into can be rewritten in exponential form to save time and to make it easier to read. So, for example, let's say that we went ahead and factored out 288 using a prime factor or a factor tree. When I rewrote it in standard form, it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. That's a lot of writing, right? So we can actually just clean it up and write it in exponential form, which would be just 2 to the 5th times 3 to the 2nd. So it's just less work. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to read, too. Like, I can quickly glance at exponential form and see that I have 2 to the 5th, meaning I have 5 2's. Well, if I look at this one, I can't just quickly know. I'm going to have to sit there and count it. So exponential form just kind of makes it a little bit easier for us to read. Okay? Once you have those down, we're going to do a couple of example problems. So let's take a look at example number 1. So example number 1, what I want you guys to do is rewrite each factorization in standard form and exponential form. Now, is this going to be the example 1? We have 3 times 7 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. The first thing I need to make sure, are all of these numbers prime numbers? Are all of those numbers up here prime numbers?
No.
Which of these can I factor further? Any of them?
No.
No, so they're all prime numbers. So for this example, I can go ahead and write them out in standard form. When I say write it out in standard form, that means I'm going to put them in which order? From least to greatest. So how many 2's am I going to write? So I'm going to write 2 times 2 times 2. Then what? I'm going to write times 3 times 3. Then what? Times 7. So there it is in standard form. Now, the way that it was written before wasn't standard form because it wasn't in order from least to greatest. From here, I'm going to write it in exponential form. Kiara, what would this look like as an exponential form?
2 to the 3rd power. 3 squared.
Times 3.
7.
Good. Perfect. So that would be your answer. Okay? So now let's look down at example number 2. First thing I need to look at, are all of these here prime numbers? Can I factor any of these numbers down further? Or are they all prime numbers? What do you guys think?
They are prime.
Yeah, they're all prime. So I can go ahead and write these all out in standard form. Standard form goes in what order again? Least to greatest. So what's my smallest number up there? 2. How many 2's am I going to have to write out? I have 3 of them? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That's how I keep. So 2 times 2 times 2. Then what? How many 5's do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So times 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what? Times 11. Good. So there's my standard form. I'm going to go ahead and put my equal sign, and I'm going to put my exponential answer just kind of right underneath here. So when I go to write this in exponential form, I'm going to write 2 to the what? Power times 11. Good. This isn't too bad, is it? All right, the last example on this front page here. I have example number 3. 2 times 7 times 15. Are all of these numbers prime numbers? No. Which number's not? 15. So I'm going to have to factor 15. What times what equals 15? 3 and 5. Are these both prime? Yes. So when I go to write this out in standard form, how do I write it out? Yeah. Now, can I write this out in exponential form? Do I have any numbers that are repeated? No. So this is just going to be my final answer. I don't need to rewrite it as 2 to the first times 3 to the first times 5 to the first times 7 to the first. That's just a waste of time. So in this particular problem, I don't have any exponents. So I'm just going to have it written in standard form. Okay? Now I know I kind of moved pretty fast. Do you guys all have this down?
Yes.
You have it down, Liam? Nope. I'll have you come back and get that, okay? All right, let's move on to example number 4 on the back. Now this is just like what we did in our opener today. Okay, so we're going to factor 48. So when we factor 48, we have to think of what 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 48. This side of the room, what 2 numbers can you, so ignore me for a minute, this side. This side of the room, what 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 48? 4 and 12. This side of the room, over here, so this side of the room, what 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 48? You cannot use 4 and 12. That's 2 factors. So what 2 numbers can you multiply together to get 48? Can't use 4 and 12. You have to... 8 and 6. Anybody else want a multiplication table? Okay, so we're going to use 8 and 6. Okay.
That's the opposite.
I always put my smaller number first. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to work with the left side first, or you guys is right. So I'm going to work on the red side, and then I'm going to come over to the blue. So you guys, can I factor 4? What times what?
2 times 2.
Michael, you're not on this side. 2 times 2. What kind of number is 2? So I'm going to circle them, right? Dead end. I'm done there. Can I factor 12? Yes. What times what equals 12? 3 times 4, 2 times 6, it does not matter. We can use any of them. 2 we know is prime, so I'm going to circle it. What about 6? What can I multiply together to get 6? Yeah, 2 and 3. And these are both prime, so I circle them. So when I go to write this out in standard form, how am I going to write it? You'll have a second to write this all out, I promise. So when I go to write this out in standard form, what do I write?
2 times 2 times 3.
Oh, are you sure? 2 times 2 times 2. So I have
Times 2.
times 3. Okay, exponential form will be what? Times. Yeah, you're right. 2 to the 4th times. Good. All right. You guys, here we go. So we're going to use 6 and 8 are my factors for 48. I can multiply 6 times 8 to get 48. Can I factor the number 6? Yeah, what 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 6? 2 and 3. What do I do with the numbers 2 and 3? Because they are, that's right. Can I factor the number 8? What times what equals 8? 2 and 4. You already told me 2 was prime, so I'm going to circle it. Write this down. You're going to write down what I have in the blue. Can I factor the number 4? 2 and 2. And they're prime, so I'm going to circle them. Now, when I come to write this up in standard form, means I'm going to write every prime number in order from least to greatest. What do I write?
The exact same thing that you did.
So I'm going to write 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's going to be wrong.
Yes, it is.
So how am I going to write it?
It's going to be 4 2s.
Okay, 4 2s and what?
1 3.
1 3. And then exponential form, how would I write it?
2, 4.
2, 4 like that? 2 to the 4th power, yeah. Times? Oh my goodness. Look at that. I used 2 different starting factors, right? And I ended up with the exact same answer. So I wasn't lying to you guys when I said you could use different factors and end up with the same answer. It's okay to use different factors, okay? Any questions on that one?
Nope.
Okay. You guys ready for your last example?
We did example 5.
Yeah, we have example 6.
No.
Oh, I did do example 5. What?
No.
Did I skip example 4?
No. You must.
Was there example 4?
I don't know.
Maybe I just misnumbered it on my outline. I mean, that happens. I make mistakes. We all know I make mistakes.
What that means?
Oh, shoot. Cross out example number 5. Or don't.
This
This is example number 5. Sorry, excuse me. This is example number 5. So what I'm saying, it says example 6 here. It really truly is only example 5. I know, so frustrating.
Why is the number?
This is a ginormous, huge number. I have 9,000. What 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 9,000? There are various ways that I can break this up. Jalen? What? I can do 9 and 1,000. What's another way I could do it? Can I do 90 and 100? Can I do 910? Yeah, there's all different factors that I could use for this. I could use 3,003. 3,000 times 3. There's all different types of factors, but we're going to use 9 and 1,000. Can I factor 9? What times what equals 9? 3 times 3. Those are prime, so I'm going to circle them. Now I'm going to come to the fun part. What can I factor for 1,000? What 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 1,000? So I can do 10 times 100. Good. Good. Okay. Can I factor 10? What kind of number is 10? Is it composite or prime? Composite. So yeah, I can factor it. What times what? 2 and 5. Those numbers are both prime, so I'm going to circle them. Now we know 100 is going to be composite, so I need to factor it. 10 and 10. Okay. I know I can factor 10. What times what? So I'm going to circle them, so I'm done there. And then, am I done with this problem? Nope. What do I not have finished? Yeah, the other 10. What times what? It's a lot of prime numbers there, right? So my directions say with all these prime numbers, I need to write them in standard form and exponential form. So what I would do, I would maybe come up to the right. I'm going to put my equal sign. What's my smallest prime factor I have there? So let's count. How many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write 2 times 2 times 2. Then have only 2 3s times 3 times 3. How many 5s? How many 5s? 3, yeah. 1, 2. Yeah, that's why I cross them out as I go sometimes, because it does get confusing. So standard form, that took a lot of work. Anybody's hand cramping yet? All right, exponential form. How do I write it? Can I write it 5 to the 3rd times 3 to the 2nd times 2 to the 3rd? Why would that be wrong? It is going to equal to the same thing, but what's the problem with that? Okay, what's the problem with how I said it? Why can't I write it like that? Why can't I write it 5 to the 3rd times 3 to the 2nd times 3 to...
It's not in order.
Okay, because it's not in order from least to greatest. So how should I write it, Jalen? So if I give you guys, or when I give you guys, not if, because that's not going to happen, but when I give you guys a quiz on this, how many of you guys are going to get an A or a B on it? Thumbs up if you're going to get an A or a B. Thumbs in the